Alright, what's going on, guys? It's Matt here from Crypto Coffee, back with another video. Today, I want to talk about HEX again, but I want to talk about the origin address because one of the most annoying questions to hear in the chat room or from really anybody and all those, scam people out there that have nothing better to talk about is, oh, well, there's this origin address. And how do we know who owns it, right? And how do we know whoever owns it won't just, sell it all to zero? I mean, why would anybody do that? Why would anybody just dump all this stuff on the market? Especially if that person had a vested interest in making this project a success. That argument just doesn't really make any sense. But either way, I'm going to go through and try to shed some light on the origin address. I'm not talking at all about who owns it. I think you can make up your own guesses if you want to. Doesn't matter to me. I personally don't care, and I don't have any expectation of a reward, but I do have a belief that whoever does own the origin address and the Ethereum flush address will use this only to benefit the project. Okay, that's just my belief. It's not based on any facts at all. So take that for what it's worth. So up here on my screen, what I'm showing is the contract address for the HEX token. It's on Ethereum, so it's on Etherscan and easily visible through any of these blockchain explorers. But basically, you can see here, the HEX address doesn't really have too much to look at other than all of the source code. So if you want to look at the source code, and if you're a smart guy or girl, and you want to check this out and see how this all really works with the contract, even the ABI, which is kind of like akin to an API in blockchain. That's probably some developers going to get mad at me for saying that, but this is how you communicate with the contract on the front end somewhere or anything. So you can read all that stuff here, guys, and you can see how much money the contract address has. Doesn't really have much, okay? It's got a bunch of these random little tokens that probably just got airdropped to it. And the origin address currently has $81 worth of HEX, so like 300,000 HEX. I was looking through some of the transactions, and I think people just kind of send HEX to the origin address either by mistake or just as a funny joke. I don't know why that would be funny, but people are sending pitifully small amounts of HEX to the origin address for God knows why. Don't do that, guys. That's just useless. I mean, it's not going to go anywhere. But what I did want to talk about is the adoption. Basically, as part of the code in HEX, there's an address that gets a copy of all the bonuses, right? And that's all it gets. There's another address that is the adoption amplifier address. So that's the address that all the Ethereum goes to. So let's go take a look at that first one. So right here, we've got, this is the bonus origin address, right? So this is where all of the copies of all the bonuses are being sent to. And I'll link to all these addresses in the description below if you want to click on them and see what's going on yourself. But it's all clearly public and available. So here we can see, all these little bits of HEX are being copied from people's claims or people's adoption amplifier, and they're being also rewarded to this particular address, just a copy of the bonuses, right? This is similar to maybe a founder's tax or some of the other methods of funding projects that other projects have used in the past, but it's not really the same. It's just a smart contract that's executing and making a copy of the bonuses and giving them to this one particular address. You can see here, this address has about 676 million HEX, which is a fair bit, right? It's a good amount. And if we view all of these transactions, you can see that this is ever since the contract started. We go all the way to the last day. It's just been getting these big chunks of HEX, right? Or small chunks of HEX sometimes. And for the most part, we're seeing only inputs into here, right? So You will see, however, that there are, let me just go back here really quick. Again, this is the address where all the copies of the bonuses go. And let's look at the analytics behind that. So Etherscan's pretty cool. It'll show you what are the most recent transactions that are happening with this address. And we can see typically there's only one unique outgoing address. At the beginning there were 11, and every day there's pretty much one new unique outgoing address, and varying between like 5 and 20 transactions in Ethereum, right? But let's look at the token transfers. There's about 1,000 token transfers per day going into the contract. And if we really wanted to see what, generally we're putting money into this contract, right? Because that's what the smart contract is automating. But if we wanted to see the specifics and just take a look, I'm going to view all. And I was just at the last page, so this is the earliest page available. And I scrolled 2 back from the last page, actually 1 back. Here I see a bunch of outputs, right? So somebody here is clearly sending this hex to other Ethereum addresses. It looks like they split it up into equal parts of 67 million. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There might be a few more. Here's a few more, 9, 10. That's 10 times 67 million. That's 670 million coins. And I mean, if you remember that the total balance of this account was about 670 million. So they're sending all this hex out to other addresses. And what are they doing with that, you might ask? Well, you can just open one of these addresses that some hex is being sent to, and we can go see what's up. So here you can see they've got all these inputs and outputs. They're breaking it up even further. But there's something pretty cool that we can do. And Etherscan has this cool function called dApps. And we can look up the dApp that is the HEX contract. We can actually read it and write to it from here. So if I wanted to just read the balance, or let's say I wanted to read how many stakes that one of those addresses had. Remember, these are the addresses that the origin address had sent it to. And we go query, and it looks like this guy has been staked 9 times. So in 9 separate stakes, like broken up even further into mini stakes, looks like someone's doing some kind of a laddering with these stakes. And if you've been listening to Richard Hart, he's been saying that if you dig even further, these stakes are spread out around the 10-year mark. So we know for a fact, verifiable right here, that those bonus copy hex are going to a few different addresses which seem to be laddering and staking their coins for 10 years or around there. And isn't that kind of what you would want them to do? I mean, staking hex is how the price goes up. Okay, people can't get their coins, it lowers the total supply. If the total supply is lower, that means that really there's less on the market and more incentive to hold as well, because if you hold till that time, you'll actually get your reward. So this is really a good thing. I think this is what you want to see in this project. Okay, so I hope that was not too all over the place. I just wanted to give a quick demo of that. And this is the bonus copy address. It's gotten 4,000 transactions so far, so that's because it's getting a copy of every time there's a bonus going on, right? So no surprise there. And then finally, I wanted to show a separate address, which is actually the address that the Ethereum is going to. So that's this one, and I'll link to this again in the description below. This is the adoption amplifier address, and we can see here, if we look at the total balances, it doesn't really have much hex. I don't know why it has any hex. Somebody again might have just sent some as a joke or something, but it does have quite a few Ethereum. 43,171 to be exact. So it's about $5,000 worth of Ethereum. And you can see here, and Richard's actually said this himself, that you can clearly look at the adoption amplifier address and you can see two transactions where little chunks of Ether have been moved to what I've heard is an exchange called Binance. And from what I've heard, well, nothing after that. I don't really care, but you know, somebody moved this to Binance and possibly transferred it. This is about $10,000 worth of Ether. And who knows what's going to happen with that? I don't know. And you probably don't know either. Unless you're the guy who sent them to the exchange. Now, here we can see not a whole lot of stuff going on. But in terms of the analytics, it's kind of cool because, you know, we see the value going up over time with the Ethereum account balance. It's higher than it's ever been at 42,000 Ethereum. And if I had to guess, it would probably continue to climb over the next 333 days. I think we're on day 17. So, yeah, that's this in a nutshell. These three addresses are the contract address, the address where that's getting a copy of all the bonuses, and finally the Ethereum address for the adoption amplifier funds. Now, one last thing I wanted to touch on is this, going back here, this really cool basically interface for using the contract is also available on Etherscan. So you can go to go.hex.win by clicking in the link below, or you can go here. I'll post this link too. If you want to play around and either view or write to the contract, you can do that. Or you can even leave a review for the contract. But here's all the functions that we can actually write to. If you just connect to your Ethereum wallet, you see right now I'm connected to Web3. And it's kind of interesting. One of the really genius things about this project is that there's a function called XF lobby flush. And really, if nobody ever ran this, the Ethereum would just sit in the lobby forever and it wouldn't move. And it's really up to anybody that wants to run this function. But this is the function that actually flushes the Ethereum from the adoption amplifier lobby into the flush address of, you know, whoever's getting all of the Ethereum. Right? That's what everybody wants to know for whatever reason. But really, the creator of the project, it is possible to say that, this is part of the genius, it's possible to say that the creator of the project has never once given himself any funds because it requires an action on the user's part to actually run this function, right? So when other people click this, they're willingly giving all the money, all the Ethereum in the lobby to whoever owns the address. And maybe it's just because of they're nice people. I don't know. Maybe I'll do it right now. Let's take a look. Insufficient funds. Well, if I had 1 penny, I could do that. Maybe I will later. Maybe I won't. Maybe I won't tell you. I heard Trayvon James did it, so it's pretty funny. But yeah, if you want to flush the Ethereum, go ahead and go to this page, go to Write Contract, scroll down, connect to your Ethereum MetaMask wallet, and click Write on function 13. Alright, so hopefully that sheds some light on what's going on. I think there's nothing to be alarmed about. In fact, I think things are going very well. You could see that the origin address bonus copies have been staked. Looks like they've been staked strategically, so whoever, you know, owns that address is playing along, and they clearly are a believer in HEX. So just wanted to clear that up. I think that was kind of interesting. And if you have any questions, leave me a comment below. If there's any other videos that you want to see about HEX or anything else in crypto, just give me your input. It's very valuable to me, and it helps me make more valuable content that can directly answer some of your questions. So looking forward to talking to you guys soon. Have a good one.